speed rules and every second counts. Where rubber meets the road and the stakes are sky high. Two voices bring you the pulse of the track, the thrill of the chase, and the roar of the engines. This is Loose Lugs with Loran Leitch and Mark Allen. Buckle up and hold tight, because the green flag drops now.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Loose Lugs Racing Podcast, sponsored by the Corp Racing and Valley Gasket. Thank you, Tim, Ben, and Carrie, for all that you do for us in the community. I know we say that every time, but it's unbelievable. I mean, almost at a loss of words for all that you do for us and everyone else. Mark, episode 203. How you doing, buddy?
How was your first race of the year down at Slinger, man? You get did you get all the winter rust shaken off? And glad to be back at the track.
Yeah, it was always great to be at the track, obviously, and Slinger's another special place. You know, we got a lot of special places around here and special tracks to go visit with a lot of special people at them, and Slinger never disappoints, and it was so great to be back there. It was the Midwest Tour opener, you know, Jerry Precian Memorial, so we think about the Precian family and Jerry every time we're down there for that race, and it was great to be at the track, man.
Yeah, it was a good day, man. All around good weekend. Yeah, I got to sling some dirt up in Plymouth on Saturday night and then do that on Sunday. So, yeah, man, the withdrawals ain't so heavy anymore, man. We got through the winter stuff and looking forward to more racing coming up here in the month of May.
Yeah. Before we get into it a little bit, I just want to say this. We didn't do this on the last episode. We were off site and everything, but want to give our condolences to Robin Boy and his family. I know Bing Bong, his brother. So I want to say condolences to the Boy family. And then also lost Charlie Jansen, who was a crew member around WIR for a very long time. And yeah, just two more people that special people that we lose, but we'll continue on in their honor and just thinking of everyone that knew them well and their families.
Yep. So I saw Randy down at Slinger and gave him a big old hug, you know, and wished him the best and everything for that family and everything. So prayers go out to them. So yeah, unfortunate side there, man.
Yeah. Yep. We continue on here. We got an exciting one. We'll talk more about Slinger and the Midwest Tour opener. We'll talk about the Joe Shear Classic coming up at Madison International Speedway this upcoming weekend. But before we talk about that news, the NASCAR weekend at Talladega, why don't we go out to the hotline and bring on Jason Shultz? Really excited to bring him on. Been talking to him for a while about him coming on, sharing his story. And, you know, he's the co-owner with his wife of the Dirt Kings. So we're going to talk about some dirt racing too. So that's exciting, something different for me. You know, I like dirt racing, but don't get to it too very often. So I'm excited to bring Jason on. Let's go out there, man.
To the hotline. I love it, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, Jason, thanks for joining us here. Man, you got a lot of irons in the fire these days. How are you doing?
I'm good, guys. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Hey, man, the off season is just about over, man. Are you ready to face 2026 here, man?
Yeah, we're ready to go. We've already got one Dirt Kings race under our belt, and it's not going to slow down, that's for sure. So we're pretty geared up. It's going to be a busy year. We're excited for it.
Before we kind of talk about where you are today with Dirt Kings and everything going on, I want to go all the way back and learn what are your first memories of racing? When did you know you want to get involved? Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, so it's pretty well known. I grew up in Kansas City, and my dad took me to dirt late model races when I was just a little kid. We used to go all over the Midwest, a lot of Iowa and Nebraska stuff. Family vacations, we're going to watch dirt late model racing. I'm a huge Joe Koziski fan. Billy Moyer, my childhood idol. So we'd chase those guys all across the Midwest all summer long when I was tiny. And yeah, so that's where it starts. And then when I was probably 12 or 13, my dad started working on a pit crew on an asphalt late model, and it was fun. So I joined in, and I was on a pit crew. I think I was probably 14 when I started full-time on a pit crew every week. We raced at Lakeside Speedway in Kansas City when it was asphalt, and then transitioned to I-70 Speedway when we moved up to a super late a few years later. So I did that all the way through kind of like high school and stuff. Shortly after that, I met a guy, Ronnie White from Kansas, who was running the Remax Challenge Series. And I was Ronnie's spotter for several years. And that's where I met my wife, Sandy. She worked for NASCAR at the time, and she was in charge of the spotters. So she's a lucky lady. It was love at first sight. I mean, you guys understand that. So I had to do some sweet talk and use my spotter skills. And yeah, here we are, 22 years of marriage later, and life's really good. But Sandy comes from a really great racing family too. Sandy's dad, Bob Abbott's, was a racer in the 70s and early 80s, and then a tech guy. And between my own dad getting me started in racing, and then when I moved here working with Sandy's dad to learn the tech side of the business, I just had the really strong upbringing in auto racing. Really fortunate that way.
When did you end up moving up here? What year was that? How old were you?
2004, I moved up here. I graduated college on a Sunday, and on Wednesday we had the truck loaded, and here I was. So it was right after 9/11. Sandy had tried to get a job in Kansas City, and we were going to live there, and 9/11 had killed the job economy. And so then we moved here. And I said 2004. It might be 2003. I barely remember how to get home at night, so don't hold me accountable for dates.
Hey, man, when you talked about I-70 down at Odessa down there, man, the fans can look at YouTube videos of that place. That place was wicked fast, man. That was really a shame that went away down there. Tell us about I-70 down there.
Oh, man, I-70. I have great memories of driving my dad's pickup truck around I-70 all the way up on the bank, and like all the stuff in the cab, all the stuff in the bed of the truck just slides right to the inside. I mean, you can drive around Kaukauna and you don't have that. I-70 was at least as steep as Slinger, and maybe a touch bigger. They called it a half mile, but it was a big half. It was probably closer to the size of like lacrosse at a 5/8, and fast is right. I mean, it was just sit down and hold on fast from green to checkered. So it was a neat place to watch a lot of racing.
So you move up here in the early 2000s. Was there any consideration to ever getting back to the Kansas City area? Were you ever close to doing that?
No. No, we got here. We really liked it. I really like it here. I'm very, very happy. And no, once we kind of found our place and hit our stride here, Sandy and I have been really happy in the area. So it's good.
You talked about your father-in-law, legend of the sport. You talked about him racing, then on the tech side. Just recently retired from doing that. I know he was a big part of the Midwest tour here recently. Talk about learning that side with him and how that went, and what you enjoy about that side now since you learned from him.
Yeah, and I had two great teachers that I've learned from a lot of people, and I don't want to say these are the only two guys who taught me, but certainly Dad has, I call Bob Dad, so I'm blessed to do that. He taught me right away, and I think it's the biggest thing you can learn, and that is how to act, how to conduct yourself physically. He has more restraint. He doesn't yell at people. I struggle with that. So he tried hard, he tried really hard, but then he taught me to pay attention to like what matters and what doesn't matter, and when to stand firm and when to help a guy out. And more than that, he really taught me you got to stand up for what's right, and when you don't back down. And the tough thing about being a tech inspector is, at the end of the day, you might go home with no friends, but the thing you got to do is you got to stand up for what's supposed to happen. You have to have your integrity, and you can't bend on what's important. So I learned all those things from Dad right away. And then shortly after the Remax Challenge Series ended, I worked for Remax for several years at the end. But when that was done, then I transitioned to the infant ASA Midwest Tour, and I spent the next 4 or 5 summers traveling the countryside with my dear Uncle Lumpy. And then I got the rest of my education. And I got to I got to see a lot more with Lumpy and learn the things that he was good at and the things that he did. And so many memories I'll cherish forever of a guy whose heart was just so big for auto racing, and he was so generous with his time and with his own resources, and a guy who really left a lasting impact on me. And we like to tell Uncle Lumpy stories at the racetrack and on our way to the racetrack and things. So it's good stuff.
You named those two guys. I mean, talking about the tech side of the business, it doesn't get much better than that or any better than that. That's for sure. Of course, Lumpy, we lost a few years ago, a guy who was dearly missed.
Yeah, it's a legacy I'll never try to live up to. They worked more races than anyone ever should. They knew more people. They knew more. They've forgotten more than I'll ever know. And that's for sure. The technical ability that they both have with understanding how, the smallest change to a race car affects its performance of the engine, the setup, the chassis, all of it. It's like walking through the pit area with Rain Man. So
you through all these years, you've seen all this stuff coming through and all the technology and trying to keep up with that. That's really a big deal, isn't it?
It is. We've watched a lot of technology come and go. We watched a lot of engine packages come and go, and you have to evaluate, what really makes the most sense for the racer, what makes the most sense for the sport, for the industry as a whole. And hell, I got to see when the crate engine was just starting out, when the Foxborough Racing Club was just considering allowing crate engines, and when Tommy G bought one and then turned it into a hand grenade, and all the fallout that comes out of that. And then do you let guys fix them or don't you? And, there's a lot to it, but technology has come so far. The cost of shocks and bump stops and everything else that in the early 2000s, we didn't deal with that. They came out of turn 4 and, they were looking at the lights, and now they come out of turn 4 and they're looking at the pavement, just the way the bump stop setups work and the big sway bars and everything else that's come into it. So there's a lot to keep track of. I've got a lot of really good friends in the industry. I don't claim to know everything, and I rely on my friends to tell me what does and doesn't make sense for rules and for competition. And then you got to make decisions on, what's really practical for the racer at this level.
I was just going to ask something else, but you kind of led me in a different direction here. You're one that prides yourself on keeping up with the industry here. I mean, we're talking about, potential traction control in these GoPros and other things here. What are some of the most wild ideas that you've heard that you've had to check into regarding some of this technology?
I have a really good friend who's a racer who told me probably 3 or 4 years ago that he was going to take a full-size battery and he was going to hollow it out and put a lithium battery in it. And that's about half the size, but it would fit inside the case of a full-size battery. And then he was going to put a traction sensing device that would point straight down at the camera, or with a camera that would point straight down at the racetrack. And that would all be concealed within the standard battery case. And the battery is then open down to the racetrack. And then when the racetrack started to move at a different velocity, that he could limit the voltage out of the battery. And I'm friends with smart people, thankfully, who teach me that ideas like this exist. And you would never catch that. There's no way that we would ever catch the change in voltage that would change the ignition, that would change the block. I think it would probably burn out the ignition, is my own thought. But my point is, we've got some really smart people around us, and cheating's hard to catch. Traction control is really hard to catch. A couple of years ago at the Nationals, we took every wire out of the top 5 finishing race cars, and we went through all of it. We went through all the boxes and everything else. And some of that's just not practical for a regular show. So you've got to do your best to pay attention to on-track performance. I think a lot of tech guys forget to actually watch what happens on the racetrack. Watch how the car comes out of the corner, listen to the race car, things like that. But racers are smart, and you got to give them all the credit in the world for that, because these guys don't end up in super lates or late models, or hell, even a 4-cylinder for being a dummy. It takes a lot of hard work, takes a lot of know-how, and they'll take the initiative to find the speed.
That's interesting that you say that a lot of tech people don't watch what's on the racetrack. And the interesting part of it to me is obviously I'm in the middle at WIR doing the feature interviews and watching. And to me, I'll always say this, I get the best view of 1 and 2 in going down the backstretch. The thing I want to hit on here is you and Caitlin, your daughter, have multiple times been on scooters riding around that quarter mile, seeing what's happening out of the corner, going down the backstretch. You're in the pits, kind of doing the same thing there. So when you said that, it just brought me back to, that's how hard you're working and seeing what's going on the racetrack.
And that's why I do it. I could walk out to the front straightaway and just watch the racing right there, but I go to 2 because it's not as noisy and you've got a better view watching the car come out of 2. The bump and fork kind of skews your view of the attitude of the race car as it comes out of the corner, and it changes the pitch of the exhaust automatically with the bump. So out of 2, you get a better view and a better feel for what's actually happening on the racetrack.
What are some of the things that you have caught that have surprised you in technical inspection?
The gray area.
We won't name drivers or teams.
No.
But what are some of the most interesting things that you've actually seen and not just heard of?
I'll tell you this. Disqualifying a guy is never fun. And obviously my name gets tossed around with a few disqualifications in particular, one more than others. I hate that. That's not the reason I want anyone to know my name. I'd rather the quality work I do the rest of the time be the reason that people know who I am. If they know me at all, I'm also pretty happy to just get in my car and leave as soon as possible. So, boy, the stuff is, yeah, I don't know, Loran. I'm not going to go into it too much, bud. Respectfully.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Ricky Brooks, he made a style that made him famous down at the Room of Doom in Pensacola, and you don't want to be known for being that way, but you also have to be fair, and and that's a fine line to walk that tightrope, ain't it?
Yeah, it's funny. I know Ricky. I like him. He's a good guy. I think he does really good things for our sport. I got nothing bad to say about him, but I will say that that's not my style. It's not the way I was raised as a tech inspector. You're never going to see Bob Abbott stand up and hold parts up at a driver's meeting or want to be online for his name for something he did. And it's just not what I want to do. So if I disqualify a guy, I'd rather no one else know about it except for that guy, and he suffer the penalty and we take care of it. If I think it's a systemic problem that we have going on in the class, then I'll let the class know, but it's never to humiliate a guy. And not that that's Ricky's intent or anyone else's intent, but I just don't think that's the way you want to treat people. It's not what I want to be known for at the end of the day. When I decide this is over, I don't want people to remember the people I disqualified. I'd rather them remember the contributions I made to the sport. So I don't know if I answered your question there or not, but I'm pretty convicted about that particular topic.
You're also there to also help them out too, and let the competitor learn also on that too, ain't it?
Absolutely. I'd rather educate guys. I think there's a fair number of times where guys are cheating and they just don't realize it, or they're cheating on something that isn't going to help them. So education's a big part of it, and having a good relationship, a good, friendship with a lot of guys goes a long way, where you can have a conversation and get them to change what they need to change. So, but no, I don't need to boost my ego or reputation for catching things. I thought it was funny. There was a Kakana racer on Facebook today. There was I think left-hander or somebody puts a post about tire softener, and one of our guys says, "Well, tech doesn't check for it anyway. Why not run it?" So I thumbed up his comment. I thought that was a really, really insightful thing to post. So takes all.
Yeah. Nothing like getting it out there for something to watch after all that, yeah, not the smartest deal, or maybe they're joking, I don't know, but anywho, yeah, I want to talk to you about one last thing with tech in here. I know you've teched at WIR, Slinger, a bunch of places there. Where have you all teched, and what organizations have you been a part of to this point?
Yeah, so WIR and Slinger, the NASCAR Remax Challenge Series. I worked for them for like 7 years at the end. I I did some work for Jeff Sashi and Mars at the end. There was a limited late model challenge thing between Marshfield and Kaukauna. We did that. Dad and I did that a long time ago. I still hold the record for most corn dogs eaten at the Marshfield Super Speedway. I ate the whole. Apparently, I was hungry. Dad's like, Jason, I think that's like 14. I'm like, oh, if they got more, we're going back because it was a rainy day or something. That's another story. I did a lot at Norway for a lot of years, and I really enjoy the folks up at Norway. That's a good time, a good group of guys up there. Geez, Loran, I don't know. It's a long list, but that probably covers all the high spots.
I want to move on here. You decided to start the Dirt Kings tour, and that thing has really taken off, which I think says a lot about you, Sandy, Caitlin, everyone involved with it. That tour just is remarkable here. How did that come about? When did you decide to start that thing?
Yeah, so it's probably been 13 or 14 years ago. Brad Miller called me and asked if I would come tech a WDLMA race. There was some questions about engines. They run an engine similar to the Ace motor that the asphalt guys run. So he asked if I would come check some motors. And I did. And well, actually I should back up. I worked for Jeff Curtin for the Fast Track series a couple years before that too. But the WDLMA is what eventually became Dirt King. So I worked as a tech guy there, and then the WDLMA started what we called the Lucky 7 series, and I was the race director for that and did some promotional stuff, put together contracts, and worked alongside Terry Williams, who was running the organization at that time. And it kind of came to the point where there was a board of a select number of racers that was in charge, and sometimes you get some consternation when it's just drivers who are running the board. So I went to the board and I said, hey, I would like to take over what you're doing. And they said, and if you don't, I said, then I'm going to start my own deal. And they were gracious enough then to sell to Sandy and I the likeness of the series and everything. And we ended the WDLMA then, and we started Dirt Kings that same winter. And that was December of 2016, and then 2017 was our first season of the Dirt Kings tour, and we just kicked off our 10th year. I remember sitting in my living room. I told Sandy, it's not going to be that much work. We're going to have fun. It won't be that hard. I lied to her. It's another full-time job. But anything good in life is worth working for. And I'd like to think that we've made a pretty good deal with what we've done. And we take a lot of pride in what we do. We try to do as much in-house as we can with social media and graphics, all the race promotion and all of that. And it goes back to personal connections and building a relationship with drivers and the teams and being able to have open communication about what does the series need? What do we need for rules? And how do we move forward? And I think I'm pretty proud of the job we've done. I think we've done a good job. We're here 10 years later. We're going to hit 100 races this year, which I think is a good milestone for a regional series. So we're very, very happy with the Dirt Kings tour.
Yeah, you're all over at all kinds of facilities, man. I've been to most of them, man. So yeah, you get the tour around the state rather well.
Yeah, we do. I never in my life did I think I'd have a need for a truck and a race car trailer, because I'm not a driver and I don't want to be, but I'll be damned if there wasn't one in the driveway right now. So,
yeah. I want to talk. I was going to continue with the Dirt Kings, but you brought up something there that's going to lead me in another direction again. You talked about doing graphics and all that. You also are a photographer. You have JS Design, which is photography, graphics. You do a bunch of stuff with that. Talk about JSD and kind of photography and what you also do with that.
Yeah, I love being a photographer. That is really fun to me. I would like to tell you I don't do it the way lots of people do it. I take pictures that I think are cool, and if no one else likes them, I don't really care, because that's how I have fun. And I've done it for a very long time. Probably I would say probably about the last 20 years I've been working as a racing photographer. So I have more equipment than I know what to do with at this point, because I also just like to buy stuff. And that parlayed itself into autograph cards 15 years ago. So I've been doing autograph cards for a long time now. And then a few years after that, I started designing T-shirts and doing some apparel stuff. And I've today my wife and I own Wisco Vibes, where we sell, design, and then sell apparel for race car drivers. And there's a lot of places that do it the same. So I'm going to give a quick plug, but I'm not saying we're the only one who does it. But race car drivers for years and years would have to order screen printed T-shirts, and you'd end up spending $4,000 on T-shirts that would bounce around in your trailer and get dirty all summer. And then at the end of the summer, you're left with 10 smalls and 5 mediums, and every bit of your profit is left in those 10 smalls and 5 mediums, because it's not like these guys are selling them for a big margin. So what we've done through Wisco Vibes is we handle all of the orders, all of the order fulfillment. The driver doesn't have to have T-shirts on hand. We'll give you a sticker with a QR code to your unique website store where fans in the pits can scan the QR code and buy your T-shirt, and they'll have it for the next week, hopefully. But it's been a really good deal for all the drivers who we work with. That's saving them some money, because the capital investment to go have a box of T-shirts in your trailer all summer, that's tires and shocks and springs just sitting there on the floor, not making you any faster. So this has been a pretty good deal for everybody.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to you. You helped with my first apparel order, and I'll tell you what, that thing was a big undertaking. The online stores were probably just popping up at that point,
right? Yeah,
or shortly after. And I'm just gonna say that but there's a reason why I haven't ordered in 2 or 3 years, because that was such a big undertaking. I need to learn about the pop-up stores. So you had told me about what you were doing, and kind of giving back to the racer and people like me in the media and stuff that are looking for apparel. And it is pretty incredible what you're doing with Wisco Vibes.
Yeah, no racer wants to try to sit and guess how many extra large shirts he's going to sell this summer and get stuck with them and have to discount them and everything else, or have somebody's wife run a Google sheet and then chase people down for Venmo. It's just no fun. So we've got it set up. We got it working. Just let us take care of it for you.
I was just going to talk about the Dirt Kings Tour a little more. What you got: 141 Angel Park, Seymour, which is Outagamie Speedway, Plymouth, Wilmot, Luxembourg, just a bunch of places that you're heading this year. Great schedule for you guys. Yeah,
I love this schedule. Not that I haven't liked them all, but I really love this schedule, because a guy with a F-250 and a 28-foot enclosed trailer can make every race. He doesn't have to get a hotel. You don't have to have a big fancy toter home. Anyone who's got a dirt late model on any budget can make the entire tour and be successful doing it. So, compared to years past, we're a lot closer to home, and it's a really good thing for everybody, I think. So, not that we didn't, it was fun to go to Iowa. It was fun to race in Minnesota and do all the things that we've done over the past few years, but this is a good deal for the local racer, for who can still get out and race all of Wisconsin, but do it on an affordable way.
And I want to ask you quick here, Mark. Sorry, you got a couple of back-to-back dates too. One coming up in May 30th, 31st, where you go to 141, and then Angel Park. One in August, where you go from Plymouth to Shawano, and then September as well, where you go from Seymour to Wilmot here. Talk about that, because when we see double dates like that, they're not necessarily close racetracks. They're not necessarily far away from each other. But is that something that maybe the drivers asked you to do more of, or how did that come about? Because I'm looking at it as a fan, I'm like, oh, I wonder how that all is going to work out.
Yeah, 100%. That's what our drivers want, is as many back-to-back dates as we can get, because, if we schedule them one every weekend, then when do you go camping? When do you go on vacation? When you stack them up 2 and 3, if we can, that works out a lot better for the family. All our drivers are family guys, so it works out better for the family life that way. So we're really happy about that. And while you're talking about schedule, I'm like super proud that we got all of the racetracks on board this year to not have overlapping dates with the late models in the area. So last year Plymouth and Shawano would race on the same night, or Shawano and the Dirt Kings were racing on the same night, or anything like that. We don't have any of that this year. There's no conflicts. if you've got a dirt late model, you can race like 45 times with zero conflicts.
Wow.
That's really awesome. So, but hey, man, you got the season going here in Shawano. It took a little bit to get it in. I tell you what, you really got to be patient to try to get your season going in April here with, with the moisture and wet tracks, So patience is a key, isn't it, in April?
It sure is. I mean, we all know for dirt tracks, we all know what spring in Wisconsin means. It means the track's going to be pretty sporty. You're going to contend with some bumps. You might see the grader take a few qualifying laps too, but we got it in. The guys at Shawano worked really hard. They had like 6 inches of rain that week. So to actually be able to put anything on the racetrack at all was a pretty miraculous feat. So, yep, it was a little rough. Everyone's owned up to that. But we got a good race in. Turk Letizia, who's a longtime racer with us, scored his second tour victory, and he was fast. Turk likes to be hammer down wide open, so it worked out good for him. But any racing's good racing, I like to say. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to some of these deals here. I don't get to too much dirt, but I definitely want to catch a few of those to support you guys as well. And I've never been to Angel Park. And that's one that kind of catches my attention. The hard thing for me is Sunday nights or Sundays in general. My wife works Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so I'd have to get a babysitter. But that is one on May 31st. I mean, there's multiple on here. I actually have just put them into my calendar last night because I have a spreadsheet. May 31st at Angel Park is one that I certainly have scheduled.
That's a very cool racetrack with a ton of history. Obviously, that's the midget mecca, if you will. It's like Knoxville for the sprint cars. It's a really cool place. It doesn't race super wide, but we've had some really great features there, some really great battles, and it's a really nice facility. Greg McCarnes and his family run that, and they do a great job. They put on a fast show. They've got an early curfew, so we get out of there early too. So you should definitely come.
Yep, they're done by 10 o'clock with their curfew down there. Yep.
Absolutely.
What are some things that maybe people don't know go into owning a series here? Like maybe talk about how you contract with the tracks, or what is one thing that maybe people even harp on that don't realize how difficult it is?
I don't know if everyone understands how expensive it is. It's big dollars, but then it's nickels and dimes expensive to run a racing series. And I just saw the work comp insurance bill come today. Things you don't necessarily think of, but you open it up and it's $600-700, $1,000 here, and you're on your way to the racetrack and you need generator gas and you got to fill the coolers, and by the time you're done, you spend $125 at the Quick Trip just to get down the road. So, it's expensive, and I know racing's expensive. Believe me, I'm not complaining. I knew what we signed up for, but it's expensive. As a promoter, there's a series, owning a series the way we do. There's two main ways to set up a show. You can either go where the track, we'll call it a bot show, or it's the track show, where the track pays 100% of the purse and they get 100% of the proceeds. So they're entirely responsible for everything that happens. And honestly, that's the way the majority of the Dirt Kings shows are. The other way to do it is you can rent the track from whoever the owner is. So like Out of Gaming or Plymouth, if we want to rent that, we rent directly from the Fair Board because they own the facility. Or if somebody wanted to rent WIR, they would rent it from Danny and Ginger. I'll tell you, by the time you're all said and done, to get the cars on the track, to do promotions, to pay the insurance, to do everything you need to do, you're probably somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 to get a decent facility ready to go. And maybe that doesn't include all the track prep you need, because that all factors in. Every gallon of diesel that goes in a tractor, somebody's got to pay for it. So it's really expensive, and promoters today operate on razor thin margins, because if it's Saturday night, they're going to have to make a decision Saturday night. It's going to be 45 degrees and sunny. How do you cancel on a sunny day? Well, you're canceled because it's going to be 45 degrees. You're going to end up with 350 people in the stands. So you've got 100 cars. You got to pay all the cars. The purse, you end up upside down, and maybe your concession stands help you cover it, but maybe they don't. In the case of some of the fairgrounds, they don't even run the concession stand. The race committee doesn't run it. The fairgrounds does. And it's just razor thin margins. So promoters today really have to pay attention to keeping the show moving, to keep the crowd entertained, and to keep it so that they want to come back next week. If you send them home at 10:30 on a Friday night or a Sunday night, or even a Thursday night at Kaukauna, if we send you home at 10:30, you're going to think twice before you come back next week, because you got to get up and go to work in the morning. So there's a lot that goes in from start to finish to make sure that the show's profitable, to make sure that it's well run, and to make sure that the fan gets enough value out of the show that they want to come back.
Let's talk about WIR for a moment here in the Fox River Racing Club. You got a new gig going on there that was announced. So why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so I'm the director of competition at Kaukauna this year at the Fox River Racing Club, and that's going to be an exciting deal for everyone, I think. So the racers had been asking for some changes administratively in years past, just through whatever course of action, and it's normal for a lot of racetracks. The on-track decisions were being made by a group of spotters and the flagman, and there was some ambiguity over who had the final decision and who was actually in charge. And then when there's complaints, well, who do we complain to, because who actually made the decision? So one of the things that comes with this director of competition role is that I'm the race director. So I can tell you who made the decision. It was me. I have spotters in place, and we're going to have more spotters this year than we have in years past, but I'll have spotters in place to give me good information, and I'll make the decision, and I'll be the one who's accountable. And that means I'll be the one in the shed at the end of the night having conversations with drivers who are probably coming to sing my praises, but maybe every now and then one or two of them will come to voice concern with how things went. But that's probably the biggest change, is having one central place for that race director. But then also with my role, I'm in charge of everything race day. So I oversee all the tech inspectors and everything they do. I work directly with Randy in the pace car and Bill in the lineup chute to make sure that everything's going the way it needs to go. Again, the officers were running that or coordinating that, and they did a really good job. But you're searching for an answer from 4 different people, and this puts it right down to one person who's actually in charge. So probably I'm going to stay out of the way of the folks that are selling tickets, and I'm definitely not going to be in charge of concession stands, because I'm not good at either of those things. But the race day operations will all come through my purview.
That sounds really good, man. I've heard people rumble, and talk about stuff like that, and it sounds like that is a needed position. So that sounds really exciting, man. And you sound like the right guy for the right job there.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I need to know where you are, though, because people keep telling me that I need to find. You're gonna have to find Mark's replay before you make a call. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, my videos is everybody's videos, and I think there's been some times that they've gone to the club and used my videos, which is fine, But that's up to that whole situation out there. Whatever, I don't care.
We're not going to get every call right. I'll tell you that. 3 weeks before the season, we're going to make some mistakes, because you can't see everything, and hard as you try, angles and light glares, and anyone who's ever tried to watch all those cars at once, when the lights hit those roofs, you can't really always tell what number it is. So then you're like, well, when he pulls away, I'll know who did what. And I've done it a while. There's a whole lot that goes into it. What I can tell you is I'm going to do my very best, and I'll be accountable for every decision on the track.
Awesome.
I was just going to comment on that. So I always felt like it was a pretty smooth program, but that'll just make it even more smooth, especially at the end of the night there, like you had talked about. So I think that should also be exciting for fans to know that things are going to go smoother.
Yeah, and respectful conversations. That's what I'm looking forward to here. Is if we've got a dispute, we're going to have a respectful conversation and get to the bottom of it. And after the fact in the shed, we can't change anything that happened on the racetrack. We're not going to change, there's no changing results based on hindsight. That's not the way it works. So hopefully the racers can work with us and educate us, or me. I just said it was going to be me. Educate me when we need to, and we can have good conversations to do better next time, because that's all you can really ask for.
I want to go back to the Dirt Kings, and then I'll end with a final thought here. You have a lot of great sponsors that come on for the Dirt Kings that are also crucial for a big series. I know Wabam is one of them. Talk about the important people that are part of the Dirt Kings tour and make your series go with you.
Yeah, there are so many of them. You're right. Wabam is huge. Wabam pays our point fund. His money goes 100% into the point fund, and we've got some other folks that contribute. But it is huge for us. He does a lot. And plug for Wabam, get wabam.com. If you've never used their products, you'll never find another one better. The best cleaning, best shining. If you're going to a car show, you need to have Wabam on your car. Otherwise, it'll be dull. So he's great. Brad Miller from BMRE Electric Carts is huge for us. My old buddy, Jerry Schneider, who was the president of the Fox River Racing Club for so many years. Jerry and Stockbridge Engineering support us, and they have from the very beginning. Fast and Fun Toys and Hobby in Green Bay used to be the hobby town, and now Andy's broken off, and he's running a really successful toy and hobby shop there. I don't know, near the mall by Olive Garden. I had to get lost in Green Bay. It's up there, but go check it out. He's got good stuff there. And then we get a lot of the corporate racing sponsors that do big stuff for us too. Hoosier Tire is big for us. 5-Star and their dirt brand MD3 do really great stuff. I would be remiss. The asphalt world doesn't know it as much. I know a lot of your fan base is asphalt based, but Freedom Pit Lifts, Freedom Car Lifts or Vehicle Lifts, they have the best, safest lift on the market. And if you're not familiar with them, check them out. Freedom Race Lifts. They make a great product, and they're a great sponsor of us too. We've been really fortunate. I know there's a bunch more, and forgive me for that. There's a bunch of them that really, really step up and do really good stuff for us.
I just want to end with this. First off, thank you for all your time, buddy. I appreciate our friendship as well, getting to know you over the years, man. What you do is awesome, and I appreciate it. Second off, it's got to be such a blast to have Sandy by your side and your daughter Caitlin and you all coming together, all having the same hobby and doing that. First off, that's got to make life easier. And second off, it's got to be awesome that you all have, I don't want to speak for them, but your dream and then maybe it's their dream all coming together to a final goal there. That's got to be just an absolute dream.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Caitlin's going to step away from WIR this year. She's graduating high school in a few weeks. She's getting ready to go off to college. She's going to do some other stuff this summer, and with my role changing, that changes everything. But having Caitlin with me at Slinger and Kaukauna the past few years has just been absolutely my favorite times at the racetrack, having my daughter and getting to spend that time with her and making memories that we'll never forget. And then having my whole family run Dirt Kings is the only way I would want it. You look back at how we've spent the last 10 years and, Caitlin's like 8 or something when we start this deal, and all the memories of little Caitlin at the racetrack and how Sandy and I have evolved in our friendship and our marriage, how racing and how this business has shaped us into who we are today. And, Sandy's quite content not to come on Thursdays and she'd rather play golf or go sit in our pool or something. And I'm fine with that too. But the Dirt Kings deal has been a really polarizing thing for my family, where it's really shaped who we as a family are, and we get mom and dad at the racetrack, and my parents have come up from Kansas City and come to races. And for me, the family aspect, it's the best. It's where I keep my family. It's where you'll find my best friends in the world at the dirt track with me on any Dirt Kings race, because those are the people who I'm closest to, because it's really shaped my life. So, and Lauren, yeah, I appreciate our friendship. Mark, I don't know you that well, but I'm sure we'll bump into each other.
We'll see some of each other for sure. Yeah,
for sure. But the racing is such a close-knit family, and even for us on the officiating sides of things, the people that work for Dirt Kings, we're a small group. Matt Panier's been our announcer since the beginning, and Eamon Bauman is our flag man. Alexander Gilhart has been our flag man, and he's taking over some race control duties at Dirt Kings races. And we're a small group, and this is, if we weren't all friends and we weren't all family, it wouldn't be the same. But it's a lot of fun, so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, it's a family there, and that dirt. I mean, you got a lot of all the people you named there are just great people involved with your organization there. So, I said it was the last thing, but you brought up Caitlin. Looking back to when she's 8, starting this whole deal, you and her are doing. I'm getting a laugh out of you and her going back and forth with the pictures that you guys are
Oh
sharing
yeah,
for her senior year and all that.
yeah,
That is some of the funniest content I'm seeing out there right now, man.
yeah. Her senior Sunday stuff's pretty good. I feel like I've held back too long. I've kept the barrel, the cannons loaded here, and now I realize I've only got a few left. So I'll probably wait till she gets to college and keep going with my senior Sundays because it's fun. She'll like sneak up and take a picture like she's going to embarrass me. I'm like, come on, I'm old and ugly. You're not going to embarrass me.
That's what having kids and being a parent is all about. So I appreciate seeing that stuff too, and I can't wait to do that myself here. Although I got some time and it'll go fast. I know that.
It will.
Hey man, like I said, I just appreciate you guys. Appreciate your family. What you're doing is just remarkable in the racing community. Keep going. Can't wait to see you on Thursday nights. Can't wait to see you at Dirt Kings stuff this summer as well. So appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon here.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, man. We'll see you at the track real soon.
Take care.
Well, Mark, once again, just a fantastic interview there with Jason. Jason's done it all, continues to do it all, taking on that new role with the Fox River Racing Club and all of that. Really excited to get to a few more Dirt Kings races this year. Really trying to aim to get to a few more Dirt races than I normally do this year. We'll see what happens, but looking forward to a few of those dates that we talked about. I mean, they're going to some great tracks coming up here, and man, that start of the season in Shawano, you said it was kind of a mini miracle that it got in. Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah, Mike's video put a picture out today this afternoon and said this of the infield is yet to have no water in the infield, and they still got a race up there last week, so it was quite a challenge, And boy, I tell you what, some of these tracks like Seymour and Gravity Park, they've already canceled for tomorrow night on Friday night. 141 seems to be all right. Plymouth was good last week. Started to look like a washboard, after the heat races, man, but they got right out there and they prepped the track and they kept it going, and they did a good job at Plymouth last Saturday.
Yeah, I was watching your videos there. Looked like a good show there. I've been to Plymouth. I've been to a lot of dirt tracks actually. Just don't get to too many every year. A couple, 2, 3 a year usually. But yeah, it looked like a good show out at Plymouth.
It was, and they had good car count, and it was rather cool. With that wind blowing right in our face. But they started the show at 5:00. All of a sudden I saw fast laps, hot laps at 4:30. Thinking, 4. So we showed up at 4:00. Next thing you know, national anthem. I'm going, hey. Holy smokes, it's 5:00. We're going to do this at 5. All of a sudden, we're going to be out of here by 9. And it was a good thing because I think another hour, the cold really would have started to settle in. So super show there, man. Good car count, good stuff all the way around down there.
That's another track I got to get back to. So I know I'm lining up a few dates here, but good for Plymouth to get that show in, and glad it worked out for everyone.
I was just camping in the area, so that was the convenience. Isn't that something, just like Jason was talking, I always thought about, going to another state, going out to Iowa or, Indiana would really be a good one too, where you just travel around the state and check out these little bull rings and you'll find some quality stuff with quality people behind it, man. So I've always thought of that, if we ever be out of state or whatever and, stop at a local bull ring somewhere and just check it out. Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you and I should probably plan something like that. I know we got some big plans coming up. Hopefully the Indy 500 next year. Hopefully Daytona 500 in 2028. Just to name a few. Of course, the local scene is where what we love the most. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. Maybe there's something running out there in Indiana when we're going out for the Indy 500 or something. I don't know what that schedule looks like, but that would be pretty cool. I know the Kokomo's out there and a few other tracks, so that would be awesome.
That would be cool to go down there. Or, hey, we could tornado chase one day, and then we could go chase a racetrack the next day. So,
All right.
get the dirt racing in before the bad storms come through, so it doesn't ruin the track. So priorities, get it all set. Yeah, let's put that on the back burners for some time. That'd be fun.
No doubt. Well, hey man, let's transition into the NASCAR weekend down at Talladega here. Um, how did you like that O'Reilly race down at Talladega?
Well, let's start with the ARCA race. I mean, if
Yeah,
we were gonna, if we were gonna have a super weekend of racing at Talladega, man, that ARCA race was that was a dandy. Seeing Andy Jankowski, Janwick, right? Janwick.
Jankowiak.
There, thanks, buddy. I can't. I'm just learning. I'm just learning how to talk here, But hey, Cletus was in it, made it interesting and very interesting. And so it was much watch TV, man. Watching Cletus on there, and Gus Dean got a third place. But the ARCA race was really good race down there Saturday.
Phenomenal race there, especially the ending there. I thought Cletus might win it. I had a few people ask me if Cletus wins that race, does he get approved to run the O'Reilly race a little while after? But of course, no. But yeah, finishes second there. Incredible race there, and Andy J picking up his first ARCA Menards Series win. Just an awesome thing to see.
Yeah, he's been close many other times, especially at the super speedway. So finally, he got to punch his ticket there. So good win, good, awesome event at the ARCA race, man. I enjoyed that one.
It was, yes. We enjoy the ARCA Menards Series, and they put on a great show there at Talladega. Now transitioning to the O'Reilly Series here. Staropoli got a push on lap 1 and wrecked. Starr and Ankrum get a piece of that. It would be Quapple winning the stage barely over teammate Sammy Smith.
Yeah, I thought, is this the way this is going to go with Staropoli? Well, he didn't even get down that way down the backstretch, man, and he was already wrecked out. So, but yeah, the one and the 8, you know how it is with JR Motorsports at Talladega, always up front, it seems.
Yeah. Allgaier would win stage 2, so Junior Motorsports sweeping the stages there.
Yeah, that was a caution-free run there on the second stage there, man.
Interesting moment here. Quapple and Allgaier got passed through penalties for impeding cars coming out of the pits. NASCAR had made a point in the drivers' meeting and on social media and making sure the drivers and teams knew what they were supposed to do coming out of the pits, and they deemed that Quapple and Allgaier didn't do what they expected, and they got passed through penalties.
Well, Allgaier said, hey, they do it all the time on Sunday. Right away, he was pointing a finger at Sunday for it. But, yeah, you got to be up to speed before you can actually come on there. It seems like you got to try to stay on the apron between 1 and 2, and then you kind of blend back in. But you got to be up to speed. And that was a judgment call, man. It actually ruined the race results on that one.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, Sam Mayer, what a great save he had.
Yeah, but how many times have we seen Kyle Busch even do that? Put her down on the apron and it just straightens the car out. Lost a lot of positions, man, but still a good save by Mayer.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a little while later, he would spin on the backstretch on the final lap. Then they would wreck into turn 3, and it would be Corey Day picking up his first O'Reilly Series win over Cruz, Creed, Sammy Smith, Clements, Thompson, Love, Jones, Retzloff, and Green. Creed would be the Dash for Cash winner. This upcoming week, it'll be Creed, Day, Cruz, and Sammy Smith going for the Dash for Cash at Texas. And also, how about this? Clements had the fastest lap of the race, 49.651 seconds, which is 192.866 miles per hour.
Yeah, so hey, Corey Day, I think you can kind of like say, hey, there's a new contender, man, that could be there at the end. Wow, he just keeps improving, and he's got the Hendrick parts in the car, like this, and wow, he might be somebody that we'd have to deal with at the end of the year. Looking good.
He was making some waves earlier in the season for kind of the wrong reasons, being aggressive and all that, but after that meeting happened that they had, it seems like he's really come down and he's kind of coming into his own zone here. I know people like to compare him to a young Kyle Larson. Could we kind of be seeing that come to fruition here? I know it's early. I don't want to put that on anyone, but tell you what, pretty impressive.
boy, it's consistent finishes, man. All his runs have been up there. So, yeah, no doubt, man. He has actually picked it up and looking really good, man. He could be a contender at the end.
Yeah. The Cup Series then on Sunday, Hamlin was caught speeding in stage 1. Briscoe would slide past his pit and hit a crew member. Once again, Mark, dangerous pit road there. Glad everyone was okay.
I like how I heard it explained. The pit crews are like playing Frogger, playing Frogger on pit road.
Yeah.
It's funny to say that, but man, tell you what, something can go wrong so fast. You think the speed limit is 65 miles an hour. Go stand out on Highway 41 when you're out there, and you see how fast they're going. It's amazing that these guys got their backs turned to these vehicles that are coming in. It's just like, boy, you always wish the best, man, for them. But they are athletes. We've had somebody with clickbait saying about race car drivers and the racing fraternity is not athletes, man. Yeah, we'll paint another color on that one.
Yeah, that was interesting comments this week, and I'll just say it. Stephen A. Smith making some headlines with that, which is his goal. I don't think he actually believes that. I think his goal is to make waves with his statements and all of that, just like some other media members. And I'm glad that the racing community has come together and said, hey, look at this. And especially, you forget, I don't want to say we forget, people forget, or people like him forget that there's some real time really big athletes on pit road. I mean, former NFL players, former, football players from college, former athletes in other sports that are on pit road. Don't tell me that NASCAR doesn't have athletes or racing doesn't have athletes, even the drivers. I'm sorry. I just totally disagree with what he said.
And we were in Milwaukee, for the truck race, and we're standing amongst these athletes, these pit crew guys, and they are built. Oh my God, these guys are huge, but coordinated. And when you stand there and watch a live pit stop, like from about 10 feet away and just watch how that's all choreographed. No, you can't. These guys are athletes. There's many out there in the racing fraternity that wants to prove him wrong. Say, hey, come on, we'll get a 2-seater on a, 98 degrees at Talladega, get this close to the wall and scare the bejesus out of him. Maybe he'll change his tune, but it's all clickbait. I don't believe that he believes it, but there's many that want to prove him wrong.
Well, in this, I don't want to make any more waves for him because obviously he's reached his goal with this whole thing. But
yeah,
the one thing that I'll say, this is going to be a news part of it. The CW has just got into an agreement with ESPN to stream the O'Reilly races on ESPN if you're an Ultimate subscriber. ESPN, the Ultimate package there, they have, Unlimited, the ESPN Unlimited package. They have a lot of great things on there. The unfortunate part about that happening, which is great that you'll be able to stream the races through there instead of waiting for the CW app, but you have to be an unlimited subscriber. The unfortunate part of all of it is that includes practice and qualifying. So no longer, if you don't have ESPN Unlimited, you're not going to be able to see practice and qualifying, it sounds like. So we'll see what happens with that. But isn't it interesting that he would make comments like that, and then ESPN would be in an agreement with the CW to show NASCAR, and it does involve other sports too, but very interesting timing with that whole thing.
The NFL just brought this up, and I guess it's running all the way to Congress, man. They're talking about these deals, and with the racing and this, like, let's say for NASCAR, for racing, you've got to have Fox and you got to have FS1, and CW. Well, then let's see. Well, you also got to have USA, and you got to make sure your provider's got TNT, and then you got Prime, and now what? HBO is also thrown in there. This ESPN Unlimited is a $30 month subscription. you know, at least you can still watch. You can still watch the O'Reilly race live on free TV, but you know, I have a feeling that's going to go away. Um, you know what? It's getting to the point where just like live sports, just like, you know what? If you want to sit there and charge, I can wait till the next day. I can get up the next day, and I got many other areas where I can watch it. Um, but man, they're killing it, and it's the money that's all that you got to have for all these streaming services, and it's getting more and more all the time. I know I complained a little bit about it. I've gotten involved with a little bit of it. Um, I don't know where this is all going, man. It's all about that almighty dollar, man. But I mean, how much is too much, right?
Well, the good thing is this is just an added thing to the CW other than practice and qualifying. So the good thing is you'll still be able to watch it on the CW. The replay, if you want to wait for the replay, it's going to be on the CW app and other avenues. This will just be an extra avenue for people that have ESPN Unlimited that'll be able to catch the race if they're not at home or something else is on their network. Like I've had to buy antennas before to get the second channel, but now if I had ESPN Unlimited, I would be able to just watch it on there instead of having to go and buy an antenna. Although buying the antenna is technically cheaper than the unlimited package there, but they do provide some other things that a lot of people are interested in, including myself. So it's just an added thing. We'll see where this goes. Yeah, you're right. They're on a bunch of different things. Luckily, also, I should mention this because I know it's kind of a negative thing and people are taking it negatively. And I'm not saying they're wrong, rightfully so. You don't want to have 20 different packages. A lot of your cable providers or your streaming providers provide some of these services for you. So, for example, later this fall, YouTube TV and ESPN have an agreement where ESPN Unlimited will be available if you have YouTube TV, so you don't have to pay that extra price. I know, like Spectrum, they also give away Peacock, ESPN Unlimited, Hulu, all these streaming services if you have Spectrum. So if you're going to have one of those or some of these, they are coming together to hopefully limit some of the fatigue or angst about this stuff. So luckily, this is just added for now, and we'll see where it goes. But hopefully, that puts some people at ease with this.
Yeah, it is. Streaming is new and they're all getting it, but there's just so many of it and just like need to kind of corral it, you know. So yeah, cable companies do that. We'll try to help the consumer somehow, some way. But you know what? There's a lot of times just like, you know, live TV, like you and I talked about, like, would I watch a Packer game the next day? And, you know, if it was just a regular whole hum football game, no, I wouldn't go back. I get to see the highlights during the local sports show. But for a NASCAR race, you know, you and I, we watch it as a storyline, you know, just like we have always said, there's 40 cars out there, there's 40 stories, one winner. And I try to collect all 40 stories. And that's why I still would go back and still watch the races. And so if it took the live out of it, I guess I could manage without it. So that's my opinion on that mess.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I go back and watch full races almost every time, unless my schedule is super crazy. But yeah, for like a normal sport, and I see the final. If I don't see the final, I'll go back and watch the full game if I'm really interested in it. If I see what the score is, I probably am not doing that. But for races, it's differently. So yeah, we'll see where this goes. The CW is doing a tremendous job there. They're putting a lot into it. So yeah, they are.
They're the best crew out there that's going right now.
Yeah, so hopefully if you have some angst about it, there's some other ways to get it, like with some different apps that are kind of combined and stuff like that too. So hopefully that works
Stop around.
Yep. Back to racing now. I didn't intend for that to happen here, but back to racing. Priest wins the first stage down there at Talladega.
It's amazing, man. They started this race, no practice, no qualifying, nothing. You know, turn the key, go. And, you know, that makes it for a challenge for itself. But these guys know what they're doing, man. They're professionals and they do very well.
Also, we should talk about the first stage, the length change to it. So it was 98 laps for the first stage. They had to make a pit stop. Some people made it work on one stop there. What did you think about the strategy, and did that change things in your opinion?
Yeah, it was early enough to figure out what you were going to do with a strategy like that because we're fighting over 10 points. But there's a lot of this driving half throttle, three-quarter throttle. And then so when you come in, especially I guess after the second stage, you made it so that you didn't have to put so much gas into it, which made it for a faster pit, and that's actually how the leaders of the end of this race ended up front because of that strategy. They were talking to Carson Hocevar. When you mentioned the fastest lap was out there was with the 51 Clements in the O'Reilly Series. Here, during the race, Hocevar just said, "You know what? I just drifted back." This was before the big pileup that they had, and I was just leaning back because I know everybody's running three-quarter throttle, so he leans back and then pound the gas and try to catch the pack to get the fastest lap to get that 1 point. So there's shenanigans going on in the back that's trying to figure out, lay back and then give her a one big run and try to catch the pack and see if you can get that 1 point for the fastest lap. I thought that was some interesting commentary from Hocevar this week.
And I think Zane Smith and Noah Gregson were kind of doing the same thing there. I heard discussion about that as well. So there was a few people doing that. My opinion is it's never, I don't know what you can do to really change that, because even if you make the stage length longer, you're still going to have people saving fuel. Even if you have to make that second stop, at some point you're going to be saving fuel so you don't have to put in as much gas, because the tires, you can now change them faster than filling the car with fuel. So you want it to be the shortest pit stop. So, and I know I've hammered this over the last few weeks with talking about this, but I don't know what you can do to really prevent that. And it didn't really change what I thought was going to happen.
Well, you knew that the last two stages, especially the last one, it's on. You're going for it, and it was amazing. It was only two lanes that was only working. That's something strange because Talladega, you always see three lines working, but that upper groove just didn't have it this weekend.
Going into stage two, here was something big. The big one. Push comes to Wallace, got him loose, and the whole field was involved behind that. What was it? Over 26 cars involved. Wowzers.
Made the world news. My wife said, I heard it was a 26-car pileup. And in her racing pool, I said, yeah, you were right in the middle of that mess. Hey, man, it's always the same old story. Logano says with these rounded bumpers, it's like squeezing two basketballs together. Hamlin, I guess, was on the phone right away with NASCAR right away Sunday night, giving fresh ideas of what they can do of either lowering the spoiler, working with the valence on it. There's a whole bunch of ideas to try to improve. It seems that, we've got pack racing, but when they're in the pack, they can't go anywhere from there. And nobody wants to step out, because if you do, you go to the back. So they're still trying to figure out ways to try to improve it. I was surprised after the big pileup of how many cars survived. If you didn't take your radiator out or didn't get hit in a tow link, your chances were very good that you were going to get back out there. And after that wreck, there was actually some really good hard racing going on after that big pileup.
Yeah, that was one thing that caught my attention too, was how many drivers were able to make their way back out there and be competitive after that.
It was, man. So I thought a lot of them cars that took a lot of those hits, man, they held up really well. So, we've seen that in the O'Reilly series, with that car and how durable that one is. You could hit a wall, and it actually would still hold the mold of the car. It seems like this car here, especially when I seen all the hits and everything like that, the car has really held up rather well.
Yeah, I agree with that, which, we've talked about the safety aspect of it. Is that a good thing? Is it not? Hard to say right now, but
There was one thing that was really noticeable is that a Toyota could not get pushed. It seemed like anytime somebody came up there and gave the Toyota a shot in the rear end, it just made them so squirrely. Like Christopher Bell, just like he was just looking for a place to wreck. We seen that with Eric Jones there at the end of this race. We seen the same thing. Just all of a sudden, just come up there and touch them, and it just made them so loose and uncontrollable. So interesting how much Toyota does good pushing, and Toyota seems to have they've been running really well this year. But this being pushed at Talladega is a kind of a little concern for them.
well, you go back even a few years ago when that big accident happened with Ryan Preece in the Daytona. I think it was the Daytona 500. When he flipped upside down and hammered the outside wall there, not his big flip in the July or August race. That one, remember how that started was Christopher Bell was getting pushed and getting looser and more loose, and eventually he got a push that it couldn't handle it. So interesting point by you is Toyota taking, wanting to be a faster vehicle and taking the drivability out of that. Is that something they might have to consider changing here in the near future for these super speedway races?
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like you could really push a Ford, and the Ford didn't look like it got all squirrely like when a Toyota took a bump. So strange stuff there, man. It's interesting stuff that goes on there behind the scenes.
Well, when you're in a Ford, you're usually a little slower, so you probably have a lot of drivability in it.
That Ford got smart and got out of the O'Reilly series. We're going for major wins. So, this is the first time. This is the first time that Ford's ain't in the O'Reilly series for forever. It's
Yeah.
just like, is that going to happen in the truck series too, or the Fords are? I don't know what's Ford doing here. Head scratch. We're going to see where maybe we're just looking for the big stuff, man, and leave them. That like O'Reilly series is like the AAA and don't want to be involved with it anymore. I don't know if that's just me rattling off, but kind of strange that Ford doesn't have no more support in the O'Reilly series.
Yeah, it is disappointing,
Strange.
really. I know you and I joke back and forth, and you talk about O'Reilly and all that. We love all the series, of course. But it is concerning. And again, you and I joke about Chevy, Ford, all that stuff.
Yeah, they're still American, so we're good.
Yeah,
Toyota's American too. They're put together here. Same thing. Anybody that wants a manufacturer wants to pour money into the sport, more power to them. But yeah, we joke a lot about that.
So for people that couldn't tell, all of that segment was a joke. So don't come at us too hard. But yeah, that you brought up that point, and that's concerning for me, even as a fan. I want to see Ford compete. I want to see a lot of manufacturers compete. It makes the sport better. So
yeah. So that's not good. Yeah, it's not good that they got out. Roush back in the day, Roush was when he had Mark Martin and Jeff Burton. I mean, the Fords just dominated. Matt Kenseth came through the ranks through there. It was the same thing, and just to see that all dry up, just like that's a head scratcher. So we'll see. Maybe a regrouping or just looking at other direction. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, that's only the second tangent on this Cup Series section that we got. Gibbs would blow a right front a little while after that and hammer the wall. Chastain would win the second stage there.
That was a hammer, man. That was a nasty crash. Boy, I tell you what, without that safer barrier and the safety stuff, that's the kind of angle that just. Did you see where that right front tire ended up?
Yeah.
That thing, I think it was laying on top of the motor, on the back of the motor. The tire was just pushed right up against the firewall. Just amazing hit. They do these in-car cameras. They had the one on Bubba, and just watching them how many times, they're taking them shots. And I mean, there's like 8-10 of them, just like, wow, you got to feel them the next morning when you get out of bed, huh?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So they're the reason why, man, you got to be tough to do it. So if it was easy, everyone would do it, right? So
that's why they're athletes, buddies. Yeah, back to that.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Later on, Reddick would blow a tire and hit the wall as well. Hocevar would get a push and get loose. He would get into Jones, who would spin and get stuck there in the infield. So they had a throw caution. But how about this? The Hurricane, Hocevar, would come back and win it over Busher, Bowman, Elliott, Zane Smith, Stenhouse, Chastain, Cindric, Gregson, and Bush. How about that celebration, Mark? Outside the car while going down the back stretch, hitting the wall, going forward, almost catching a beer while he's outside his car, rolling down the front stretch. That would have been awesome if he caught that, but I'm almost glad he didn't because the amount of force that takes, I'm not sure that would have ended well. But I haven't heard any rule about that yet. I'm sure we're not going to be doing that every time, but what a celebration.
But he still controlled the car, and that was well. We know how Carson, how tall he is. We've met him multiple times, and what a great kid, man. He's always done us good,
Yeah.
So we knew he was going to get in victory lane, man, and that celebration was something else. I haven't heard nothing either. So now we're gonna start driving around with people hanging out of the car. I don't know if NASCAR is gonna allow that, man, but we'll see. We'll see about that.
Yeah. Zane Smith had the fastest lap, 48.263 seconds, which is 198.413 miles per hour.
And right away, everybody thought with Hocevar, that reminded them of when Dale Earnhardt Sr. was sitting on the windows and wiping the oil off the windshield while he was going down the front stretch. And boy, that brought a lot of memories back. I'm hearing little whispers of, hey, this Hocevar is like a young Dale Earnhardt Sr. I wouldn't go that far, but you never know. But boy, that brought back memories watching people sitting on the window and driving down the road. So brought back memories for a lot of fans. They loved it.
It brought back memories. I am usually not like this, but I'm an Earnhardt fan, and I want to say it. They both climbed out of the car like that, but just significantly different. I don't know. A lot of people wanted to hammer on that, like, oh, he's just like Earnhardt. And it's just like completely different circumstance. I'm glad it brought back memories and all that, and the celebration was amazing. Like probably the best celebration I've seen in a long time, maybe ever, from a race car driver. But I think we should cool it on that. I know even Noah Gragson, I think he was on Door Bumper Clear calling Hocevar a little Earnhardt or something like that. So I think we should cool it on that though. But I think you've seen the speed out of Hocevar for a long time now, and what he's doing with that Spire team and leading that team. He's doing a heck of a job there, and to see him win that first, pretty cool.
Going up through the ranks, let's talk about him a little bit. We've seen him locally around here. We saw him down at Winchester when we went to interview him. He was so genuine and, approachable and really a good kid. I went over and talked to him when we went to Berlin, and he acted like he recognized me. He comes up there, hi, how you doing? And actually at his home track at Berlin, and got to chat with him. He's a pretty exciting new young talent coming up. He has a different kind of personality. Some people saying that NASCAR needs more of that. So all in all, he's a hit, and he races anything. He's going to be he's in the truck series this weekend, and he runs a dirt car, and he goes back home and he runs super lates. When somebody's racing all the time, boy, it seems like their results always end up just a little bit better. Take for example, like when Kyle Busch was running super lates and running all three series, he had awesome results, but then now he doesn't have a wheel in his hand just as much, and the results ain't there. I don't know if that works hand in hand like that, but Hocevar, he'll drive anything right now, man. So he got that first victory. There's no reason why he ain't going to get it anymore.
Well, and the thing is, Spire's involved with everything. So Spire has their truck program. So it's easier to put one of your own Cup drivers in the truck. But you're right, he'll drive anything. Um, you said genuine. I would use that word as well. He's himself. Um, yep, we've got to interview him. He's good to us. He's approachable. He's a character, and some people don't like that, and that's fine. But it brings a personality to the sport that I think the sport needs. I would say Noah Gregson's probably in that same kind of goofy character type of deal, and Noah's once again another good person that we've been fortunate to meet. I would throw them kind of in the same boat there as far as being a character, and some people don't like that. That's their opinion, their prerogative to not like that. But I think the sport will benefits from having a guy like that. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. He's got his first one under his belt. Is that going to open the floodgates here? I think it was his 91st start in the Cup Series. So, we just had another first timer, Ty Gibbs. It took him a little longer than that to get his first win. Chase Elliott, it took a while to get his first win. I kind of wanted to talk about that too, but I'll talk about this before getting to that point. Yeah, he might not be for everyone, but I think him, and we talked about this before when talking about like Hendrick and their options, and then go as far as science into the 2030s with his deal. I think him and Spire are the perfect fit. He gets to be himself. He gets to be genuine. He is who he is. Take it or leave it, and that's all that's about. So, I think at the end of the day, it's good for the sport to see that personality. And again, I would throw Noah Gragson kind of in there right there, that goofy personality, and I think it's fun to watch. And again, some people may not like it, and that's fine. But they're talking about him, and they're talking about the sport, which is always a good thing there.
But if you get the good results, it just raises up the whole business, and everything all goes all together, man. So, yeah, they've got a good 23-year-old kid that's going to be around for a while and signed with a contract. And so, yeah, he pulls off moves that most people don't, man. You give him a half a hole, and he's going to take it. And maybe that's the way it should be, And like Dale Sr. used to say, sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. But when it does, you'll get victories out of it. And I like that kind of a way, but you got to do it smartly. But boy, you can hurt a lot of people's feelings too when they all gang up on you and you don't have no friends out there. And he said he don't have no friends in the racing fraternity. He's mentioned that many times. He don't go racing to make friends. So that's his attitude, and it's working, man. And congrats on that first win, man. It was pretty exciting. So we'll see if he gets another one coming up soon.
Okay, so this is going to be a longer podcast, obviously. We'll try to keep news and stuff short here. But I wanted to talk about, first you brought up a point here about he's aggressive and going for a hole that might close or is closing. Noah Gragson made a comment, and it came off as half joking, but it's probably a little more serious than it appeared. He said, he does that, and I guess we're all stupid enough to let him do it because nobody's retaliated or anything yet. So that is an interesting point, because that is true, and you and I have talked about that. Like, eventually that comes back to you, but it hasn't yet, and it led him to his first win. The other thing I want to talk about is, do we think, and we love the O'Reilly series right now is the best thing that NASCAR has got going, but do you think it might be a detriment to race in the O'Reilly series and then go to Cup versus going from truck to Cup? Because you look at some of these guys, Hocevar's won, and it took them, 91 races to get that first Cup win. But you think of guys like that have just absolutely dominated in the O'Reilly series, that it's taken longer. I think about Ty Gibbs, Zilich, unfortunately is struggling right now. Now that Trackhouse is struggling as well. Do you think there's something there that maybe the O'Reilly series, for whatever reason, transitioning to the Cup is more difficult than maybe going from the Truck Series to the Cup Series right now?
Well, the competition, that's what makes the O'Reilly series so popular, is because the drivers aren't as good. You know what I mean? When you're in the Cup Series, these drivers are the elite drivers. You have some junior kind of drivers in the O'Reilly series that probably try to make more of a name of themselves, be more aggressive, which makes for good racing, and you'll get some mess ups, and everything like that, and people appreciate that. Um, Going from a 15-inch tire to an 18-inch tire in a different car with independent suspension, it's just overwhelming, and it's amazing that these kids that's got great talent, that takes them a while to figure it out, and still waiting for Kyle Busch to try to figure it out. He really has not done well in this car. He said he needs to learn how to drive differently. He's going to have to teach himself to do something like that. It's amazing how it all acts like. So I don't know, I guess no matter which way you can get up there, I mean, like Corey Heim, you figure winning as much trucks that he does, that he ends up with a temporary schedule. He's racing this week at Texas, and as long as he keeps popping the results, and he's doing well, and he should get a full-time ride with the talent he has.
Yeah, and that's another thing, comes from the Truck Series. Hasn't raced too much Xfinity. Truck Series, the Cup, is finding some speed early. I don't know. It's just something I thought about. I love the O'Reilly Series. I think it's an important step in racing. But it's just kind of interesting that maybe there is something that correlates the truck to the Cup car versus the O'Reilly to the Cup car. Now, again, we love all three series there, but just something that I've thought about over the weeks here about. And we heard that and maybe this is why we heard a little bit about that with this new car when it first came out, was that it's more like the truck than the O'Reilly car. Maybe that's why. I don't know. It's been a while since we heard that, but just something that caught my attention over the last
Yep.
year.
Each one has their own identity, so you got to, and it seems that Cup car is a lot more finicky and hard to learn than the others. So,
yeah. All right, let's move on to news here real quick. I'm going to go over multiple of these, Mark, and then I'll have you talk about them. So this will be all lumped together. Actually, let me start with Indy 500 news. Juncos, Hollinger, and Dreyer and Reinbold are collaborating on the number 76 car for the Indy 500, which will have the driver, which will have Rinus VeeKay as the driver. Catherine Legge is going to enter the Indy 500 driving an AJ Foyt racing car in partnership with HMD Motorsports. Arrow McLaren has partnered with Jimmy Johnson and Legacy Motor Club, the NASCAR Cup organization, for Indy 500 with the number 31 Chevy driven by Indy 500 winner Ryan Hunter-Reay. Legacy Motor Club tech director Brian Campy, who won the Indy 500 in 2015 as the strategist for Juan Pablo Montoya, will be the strategist for Ryan Hunter-Reay. Romain Grosjean hit a bird during the Indy test. I don't know if you've seen that, Mark. Hit a bird there, destroyed the car. Very thankful for the aero screen, because he had even some blood that got in the cockpit and his helmet and all that from the bird. So very thankful for the aero screen. And I'll stop there to let you talk or give your thoughts on the IndyCar news.
He got the bird, so we've seen that before when vehicles get hit livestock or whatever. Hey man, Indy practice, you see these times, or there's these speeds, and they're hovering around 225. Years ago, every year it would just raise a mile an hour and a mile. I believe that they used to run like 233, 234. So it seems like the technology is kind of holding these cars back a little bit so that they don't have them crazy speeds. It almost kind of sounds like a restrictor plate kind of thing. So they kind of got them restricted down to keep them at a safe 225, if anything's safe out of that. But interesting just to see that the speeds are at 225 and not up at 235 where they used to be.
Well, they got that electric opponent to now where it needs to recharge and all that. And you've seen it. If you go back and watch Indy 500 qualifying from last year, they talked about kind of saving up that last lap to use a bunch of it. So there's that electric component to it, which could be playing a factor. The other part of it is I think some of these tests, you do see the slower speeds at the beginning. Now you get the people that are able to wrench on the cars and figure some more things out. And again, it's hard to tell. Are they in race mode or are they in qualifying mode? Qualifying mode, you're going to see the 233, the 234. Race mode, you're probably more likely to see a 225, to 230 type. So hard to know the exact details on what everyone's doing there.
So pay attention to the speeds, yeah, especially when it gets to be qualifying day and everything like that. So yeah, they run the road course in a week, and they're going to run around there. So yeah, they're just hanging around Indy right now doing circular things, and then they got a road course race coming up plus qualifying day, and then the big 500. So all good stuff down there. All good stuff down there.
Fast 6, Carb Day, qualifying. They got a bunch of dates at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I think we talked about it last week or the week before. Sounds like there's only going to be 33 entries, so no one should be getting bumped this year. So that'll be a storyline that is missing, but it's still one heck of an event, that's for sure.
Yes, sir. So it's May.
It's yeah, it will be tomorrow. This surprised me, and I lumped this in with IndyCar news, but I wanted to separate it at the same time. Acura has announced that it is going to pause its IMSA program following this season. Marcus Armstrong will have Acura branding for his Indy 500 car as the brand, which is under the Honda banner, increases its presence in IndyCar. So interesting that they've had so much success with IMSA since they came in. But Acura announces that it's going to pause its IMSA program after this year.
Wow. Yeah, that's big news. I didn't know that one. Yep, they've been involved quite a bit, man. So that's big news right there.
Mm-hmm. I know Penske with the prototype has been a Acura team for a little bit and all that. So yeah, that was bigger news than people probably realize at the short track level or whatever. Moving on to some NASCAR news. Connor Zilisch will drive the 71 Spire truck at Watkins Glen. Destiny Spurlock will make her truck debut at Watkins Glen. She'll drive the number 69 truck for MBM Motorsports or Garage 66. She is going to be the first African-American woman to compete as a driver in NASCAR's 3 national series. Destiny Spurlock, if you remember, was in the ARCA race just a few weeks ago when her and Ruggiero got together, which ended up having Ruggiero win. I believe that was at Kansas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But so she's been racing, has some experience, but she's going to make her truck debut at Watkins Glen.
Cool. All right, man. We need more girls in racing, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
O'Reilly, we talked about the CW Sports there. I won't harp on that again. Cup Series and NASCAR in general. Kubota has a deal with NASCAR to be the official of NASCAR in these categories: tractor, construction equipment partner, compact equipment partner, and utility vehicle. So Kubota is the official NASCAR sponsor for those categories.
Okay. They're normally with Trackhouse, but yeah, so they're on that, so that's good stuff. More sponsorship, good deal.
Yeah. Fox Sports says that it was forced to change its plan to run no full screen ads during the green flag racing at Talladega on Sunday due to the first stage going without a caution there. So, they talked about doing some more side-by-side stuff and all of that, but they had to do some full screen ads because there was no cautions.
Okay, so got to get those commercials in. And then, yeah, until you come back, you usually find a 26-car pileup, but that didn't happen this time.
Yeah. Crew chief change is happening for Kyle Busch. Andy Street is going to replace Jim Pullman, who will remain with the organization in a different role. I know there had been talk about this. I know Larry McReynolds has talked about this on SiriusXM Channel 90 for NASCAR, saying Jim Pullman and I forget the crew chief that he wanted to swap, Austin Dillon's crew chief there. He wanted them to switch, and he said, I know Jim didn't leave Junior Motorsports to be Austin Dillon's crew chief. He wanted to be Kyle Busch's, but he said in his world, he left the 28 team to go to Dale Earnhardt, and a little into that 10-year year or so, they swapped, and he went to Mike Skinner. He said, I had to have a long discussion with my wife saying I didn't leave to be Mike Skinner's crew chief, and that's not a knock on Mike Skinner, just like it's not a knock on Austin Dillon. But you're talking about two of the best in the sport has ever seen in Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt, respectively. So they do make a change, but Jim Pullman is just going to be in a different role with the organization and no longer crew chiefing.
way I understood it, that Jim Pullman has a strong personality, and so is Kyle Busch, and those two just was getting toxic. It was a toxic, that's the way I understand it, relationship. And there were some things that were said this way and that way, and there had to be a change made. Childers has just got to be freaking crazy, man. That they say he's the most competitive dude that's out there, and just to see his cup program not perform, man, I don't know how he's going to do it to try to turn it around, a new crew chief or whatever. But Kyle, he got his first top 10 of the year, dude, this last week. And if you remember, during the red flag, it was up on jack stands, and they were working on the car, and he still come back, and he got a penalty late, and he got his first top 10. You sit there, Kyle Busch, all this way until race 10 to get a top 10. That just doesn't make sense, man. So changes have got to be made. There are probably more major stuff maybe going to come out of that camp later too.
Well, they got to change something, and I'm a little more concerned than I would normally be with this change, because it was always RCR kind of promoting from within. They stepped out of their box and went to grab someone from Junior Motorsports, and it didn't work. So there is something massive going on there that needs to change. I know Andy Street, Jim Pullman, both really, really good crew chiefs. Really great minds in the sport, have been at it for a long time. I mean, Jim Pullman, a champion with Justin Allgaier just 2 years ago it was the Xfinity Series, now the O'Reilly Series. Really great mind. It sounded like the spotter and Jim had more issues that I heard, but I'm sure him and Kyle Busch had some interesting conversations. I don't know. It is shocking how bad Richard Childress Racing right now is, and I don't know what they're going to do. I thought going outside of the organization might help them a little bit. It hasn't. I'm not saying that was the wrong choice. There's something else going on there. I think Jim Pullman would still succeed under different circumstances. We'll see where this goes. This is got to be very concerning. It's kind of concerning for the sport. And Richard Childress, as he gets, I mean, he's getting older, and how is he starting to look at the end of his career here? I don't know what else to say about it.
I don't know. They have fallen on hard times, man. So they're going to have to turn everything up, just like Keselowski did when he joined the Roush team there, and they just overturned every stone, and it takes time. They're at rock bottom like this. And, if Kyle Busch, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, we can't doubt that he would probably go try to find somewhere else. But he might stay. Don't know if they're building something. I'm sure they'd want to keep him, but that'll be interesting for the off-season news right there.
Well, I do not see. I hope I'm wrong. I think. I guess I don't really know about that, but I'm starting to see a spot where I don't know how Kyle Busch can stay at Richard Childress Racing. I don't know how he can do that. I don't know what the big changes. They did say, remember when the new car came out, what was that, 2-3 years ago, that they had something in NASCAR did not like, and then they changed it, and that was kind of the start of their downfall here. Maybe they can find something again. I know him and Denny Hamlin have even now sparred back and forth in the media based on comments that Denny Hamlin made, and I don't think Denny's really wrong. I think it is just kind of disappointing to see one of the best to do it struggle this bad, and Richard Childress Racing, the organization. So I'm starting to see where Kyle Busch probably doesn't stay, but if they can hit on something, you never know.
You never know. They better hit on something, because if it's just, hey, they got the pole for the Daytona 500 and it's been spiraling out of shape ever since. And they're at rock bottom, man. So they're going to have to pick up the pieces and try to figure it out. But it's just amazing just how they're underperforming right there, man.
But do you remember, you mentioned Roush, you remember when they started to kind of turned things around is Brad Keselowski came over and he started making changes and have different ideas and all that. I'm not saying that Richard Childress needs to set aside. I'm not saying that he needs to have a different owner, but they need to make a big change and figure it out quick.
Yeah, it's going to take that, and it ain't going to happen overnight. You're going to have to start and build, and it takes time to get that all together. It's amazing how that all works. That stuff that goes on behind the scenes actually affects the results on the racetrack. It's just, it's more than mechanical.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The last bit of news I got is Steve O'Donnell is NASCAR's new CEO, and Ben Kennedy is now the COO. Jim France has stepped down as CEO, but remains chairman of the board of directors.
Sure looks like a popular deal, even with the drivers and everything. So that looks like a good deal, man. And so I saw that today, and it's all positive stuff coming out of there. So congratulations on O'Donnell getting that CEO. Yeah, that's a good decision there.
It's the first time that a France family member has not been CEO.
Yeah, so maybe we need something like that, just a little bit of a different angle. So different personality there. You just never know. See what happens. I think they're in good hands with this decision, man.
I do too. I also see Ben Kennedy stepping in the wings. That he's going to have a few more good years under O'Donnell now to learn from, and then take the whole thing over. And I'll tell you what, Ben Kennedy, when he gets stepped out of the ride at the young age that he did and made that big change in his life, he has been so successful and so right on so many things that I'm looking forward to him learning and eventually taking this deal over.
I found out today that he actually owns a late model team too. So so he's still dabbling into little stuff like that. But the table is set for Ben Kennedy someday, and then he's going to be there for quite some time. So yeah, he's learning through the ranks like this. So he'll be all ready to rock when he takes over that position here coming up in a few years.
Yep, no doubt about it. Yeah, he's owned that late model team for quite some time. I remember always thinking, I think they dabbled in some ARCA stuff too, and maybe the O'Reilly series. I'm trying to think if that ever happened. I always thought it was interesting that, NASCAR oversaw ARCA and some stuff there, and they had one of their family members running, and how that would happen if they found something and all of that. What kind of, deal would happen there, or how that would make them look. But they've been class acts all the way about it since day one.
Yeah. So.
All right, man. Any news that you want to talk about before we talk about our picks and then the TV schedule and some short track racing to end it here?
All right, man. So, hey, how about the Ram truck program? They picked up 2 all-stars that are going to run here. Clint Boyer, hoping it ain't 90 degrees when he gets in that to go run Dover. We've seen Clint Boyer, how he can fly around Dover. So he's going to get into a truck ride. And then Jamie McMurray is going to be in a San Diego truck. And the way I understand it, that he's taking it pretty serious. Some of the drivers are seeing him jogging around the neighborhood, getting in shape. So he's taking it serious like McMurray would. Them guys have been out of the vehicles for a while, but that's part of the Ram truck program, man. So we're putting some all-star old drivers back in to get a wheel in their hand.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cool to see. I can't wait for them to get in the truck. And, it's probably good for them, too, to get back behind the wheel. It'll help them as analysts. I really like Clint Boyer as an analyst. I like Jamie McMurray a lot, too. So it'll probably help them in that aspect as well.
Well, Tony Stewart found that out at Daytona, just like, boy, this stuff changed, just being out of it for a while. So I'm sure they're going to have the same kind of thing, like, wow, this is just a little bit different. It's hard to compete, to come in like this when you're going against these guys that do it weekly. So love the challenge. Hope they have fun doing that one, man.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
And one other thing that's been this is an ugly story. This is about this inside job at Greg Biffle's residence and how this break-in is going. And they set out some investigative stuff that's going on, man. I hope whoever got did all of this stuff with this setup, man. I hope they catch him, man. So trying to clear that up, but that sure is an ugly story of somebody taking advantage of a bad situation right there.
Yeah, I think we mentioned how sad that was back shortly after his crash, and they're starting to get somewhere. It sounds like there's a lot of rumors that it might be an inside job, like you said. I don't want to get into it too much. Just waiting to see what comes about from that. But no matter how you look at that or what your opinion is, incredibly sad. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about taking advantage of people who just lost their life, and they still have family members that are still alive that could benefit from some things, and you never know what went down. But
That's a sad, ugly story there, man.
incredibly
So,
sad and ugly. Yeah,
yeah, so,
yeah.
but there'll be more coming out of there, man. We'll hear some bits and pieces that are coming out of how that investigative goes, and hopefully that'll go the right direction, man. So sad story there, but I had to put that in there.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, and this is ugly in a different fashion, obviously, because you're talking about life or death, which is obviously above everything. Another kind of ugly story is NASCAR between the Gibbs and Spire teams and Gabe Hart and all that. That's still going on, and that's starting to get ugly as well. So that seems like that's going for the long haul too. So it just seems like us in NASCAR just cannot get away from the court scene, and it's not getting any better.
I saw that it was a highlight, and I looked at that, and I didn't open it up. I just like, I don't care about that.
Let's
That's going to be settled, and it'll come out in the wash. But I'm not going to sit there and pick sides or nitpick of how this is all going about. It'll all come out, but yeah, I'm not interested in reading that stuff.
Yeah, I only wanted to mention it because there was some new stuff that came out over the last day or two that it just seems like this is going the long haul. So I thought about mentioning it.
Yeah, so
Anyway,
that's all the NASCAR stuff, man. We can talk local stuff. Got some stuff for that. So
yeah, let's
carry on.
talk about the local stuff here before we talk about our picks and TV schedule. So Slinger, the Appalachian Sucker Punch ASA Midwest Tour, had their opener down there. I know we talked about the Jerry Christian Memorial. Ty Majeski took that thing, was really good all day long. Second place went to Grant Griesbach, who was also really good. Tell you what, if the caution doesn't come out there, he had a pretty decent lead. Would he be able to keep in front of Ty Majeski there? Grant Griesbach was right there with him as well. And then Luke Fenhouse was third for a long time. Unfortunately, he had a tire go down late, and that let Casey Johnson take over third place, which he was battling Luke for third there for quite a few laps. But an awesome event. You and I talked about it on our last pit walk about how Slinger is another special place that we go to and all that, and what the Das House have put into it. I mean, kudos. Just an awesome event from the Dasso family, everyone involved with the track, and then also the Midwest Tour. We got to see the Crown Vics go as well. Great race in the pro late models as well. Zach Riddle pulling that off
Ooh, that
over
was a good one.
Dennis
That was a
Prunty
good
on the
one.
last lap. I mean, just an absolute awesome event all the way around.
And they never touch each other. That's clean racing, good, clean, hard, respectful racing. That was the race of the day, man. Makes me smile just thinking about that. When you got clean racing over and over, and coming to the end, and it worked out that way. And it's a shame somebody's got to lose a race like that, but to do it with to do it like that, clean and respectful, man. That's what the part of racing we love right there.
And the great thing about it is you almost come to expect that out of those two drivers, Dennis Prunty and Zach Riddle. So successful race car drivers that it shouldn't come to a surprise, but when you see it, it's just so refreshing. It was such a great race. Yeah, you said that put a smile on your face. Absolutely, man.
Yep, that's what you want to go to the races and see races like that. So the crowd loved it, man. The crowd was buzzing after that one. Like that was a good one, a dandy right there.
Hey, man, what did you think about the Crown Vics? Seeing those for the first time?
Well, they sound different, man. But they're kind of like a big tank going around, interesting. Got close to them, got to see them real close in the pits and everything like that. First time out of the box. What the heck, that's, I'm optimistic and looking forward to seeing them someplace else, man. I'll pay attention to that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was something different there. Looking forward to see how they do up here at WIR as well here. But
Getting them cranked up on the half mile, man. It's just like, oh boy, I'm ready for that. Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah. But kudos again to Slinger Super Speedway, the Dassel family, everyone involved, everyone with the Appalachian Sucker Punch, ASA Midwest Tour. Just an awesome event, and so thankful that we were able to take that one in. Mark, upcoming this Sunday is going to be the Joe Shear Classic at Madison International Speedway. That is a Midwest Truck Series show and another ASA Appalachian Sucker Punch Midwest Tour show. They have some practice and some things going on Saturday as well, including some live music by Dog Bones. Dog Bones is going to come back for post-race music on Sunday as well, but Saturday you can go watch some practice and then get some live music with some food and drinks as well. As they go into Sunday here, pit gates opens at 9. And then practice starts at 11:30, qualifying at 12:45, and 2 o'clock racing will start. We're also going to have the University of Wisconsin band down there, so that is really cool to see every time. I know you and I have seen them now, or actually, we were at a hockey game where we've seen them. We've seen them a few times, you and I as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Madison has had them a few times there, but Midwest Truck Series, the Midwest Tour, going to be another great event down there, and going to be happy to see the McCarnes family down there at their family farm, as they call it. So really looking forward to the Joe Shear Classic.
Yeah, we put the drivers list up there, and
Oh man,
just look at that. Just go down the line, like look at that, just like, oh my god. And so looking forward to it. It's actually going to warm up. It's usually the first place we catch our first sunburn. Where the sun becomes a factor. It's going to get up to like 65 down there. It's going to be a beautiful day. So we're going to get out of this kind of cool stuff here, and it's looking pretty good there for Sunday down there.
Yeah, and I believe they have a neat thing for fans too. They're going to open up the pit gates for fans a little earlier as well. So go follow Midwest Tour on Facebook and Twitter, and also Madison International Speedway. They have some great things going on there and good things to keep up on. So yeah, geez, I am so excited for Sunday.
Let's pack the house, huh? Let's get the fans down there. Let's do this.
Absolutely. And you're right. The drivers list for both the Midwest Truck Series and the Midwest Tour look phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Yep.
And that's a 200 lap race for the Midwest Tour, and for the Midwest Truck Series, that is 36 in honor of Joe Shear.
Joe Shear 36. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, anything else you want to talk about regarding short track racing or the weekend upcoming here?
I don't think so, man. Just that's all we got going this week. It's going to start ramping up, getting busier the further we get into May, and we'll talk about that next week for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's talk about our picks then for the top 3 series. The Truck Series is going to race Friday, tomorrow night. The defending winner is Corey Heim. Let me just pull up the picks here. Excuse me. I believe that you get to go first.
Yeah, they haven't run in a few weeks, yeah. So I get a first shot. You know what? Let's get a guy out there that just won a race just recently, man, and he's going back down to the Truck Series. Carson Holsevar is going to be in Texas. He won that back in 23, I believe, in the 42 truck that was Yeah, it was. Yep. So I'm going to take Carson Holsevar for the truck race tomorrow night, Friday night.
He's shown some speed in that truck the few times he's been in it already this year, so he'll be one to watch for sure. I'm going to go with another big time racer. We just talked about his struggles. I'm going to pick Kyle Busch.
He almost had a victory the other day. If his vehicle didn't shut off on a pace lap because they were doing slow, so he has an act to be up front there. So we'll see what Kyle Busch can do there in the Truck Series.
So we got the Spire teammates going at it this weekend in the Truck Series.
Okay, I like it.
For the O'Reilly Series, Kyle Larson is the defending winner.
All right, sounds like he's gonna be racing in the 88, and this will be the third time already. I've used him 3 times, but I got a first and a second out of him so far this year, so might as well go back and get another first. I'm taking Kyle Larson in the 88 truck in the O'Reilly Series.
Yep. Truck in the O'Reilly Series.
Truck O'Reilly Series, yeah.
I am gonna take Connor Zilisch to come back at you. So I'm gonna pick someone who I think is just as talented as Kyle Larson. So I'm gonna go with Connor Zilisch.
And we know that one car has been running well, whoever's in it, So yeah, that's a good pick there, man. We'll be fighting that one out for that race.
And then Joey Logano is the defending winner for the Cup Series. I'm going to pick someone I didn't want to use twice this early, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick Tyler Reddick.
Why not? He's hell. He was in the wreck. He blew a tire this last week. It still gets a 14th place, so he's still got the horseshoe going. That'll work right there. Hey, I would love to take Logano, man, but I can't see no speed in the Fords. The only one who's halfway deep. The only one that's halfway decent is Blaney. A little bit of Keselowski. Buescher's sure been looking good, but Logano, they just what's going on there? So I can't take that right at this time. They're not peaking at the right time. Hey, if Kyle Larson's going to run all them laps on Saturday, well, hell, he might as well run them all on Sunday too. So I'm going to throw a double dose of Kyle Larson at you this week, man.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good pick there, obviously. Not much else needs to be said about that. All right. Here's what the TV schedule looks like for this weekend. Down in Texas, this will be Central Time again. Friday at 1:30 on FS2 is truck practice and qualifying. 4 o'clock on the CW app is O'Reilly practice and qualifying. And at 7:22, the Truck Series race will take the green flag. Stages of 40, 40, and 87 with 4 sets of tires. That will be on FS1. It'll be in the 50s with 70% chance of moisture during the day, 30% at night. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
In the 50s? Did you say in the 50s down in Texas?
Yes, sir.
Holy cow. They're cooling off down there, too. And they've had a lot of hail and storms down there. So, wow, 50s. Them people are going to be cold down there.
Yep. Saturday, 11:30 on Prime Video, Cup practice and qualifying. 1:30 on the CW is pre-race. And at 2:38, the O'Reilly Series will take the green flag on the CW. Stages of 45, 45, 110. 5 sets of tires in the 70s with 0% chance. And then Sunday, 1 o'clock on FS1 is NASCAR race day. 2:43 on FS1 as well. The Cup Series race will take the green flag. Stages of 80, 85, 102 with 9 sets of tires. Once again, in the 70s with 0% chance. So the only iffy day is Friday down there. I also want to mention that F1 is back this week. So they are in the United States down at Miami, which is a really neat track down there. So can catch that on the Apple TV now. I almost said ESPN. It's Apple TV that you can watch the F1 race there down in Miami.
Okay, so, and this Texas deal, I hope Texas puts out a good product. It used to have 2 races there all the time, and we've knocked it down to 1 and an all-star race. I hope they got, I'd like Texas deserves to be on the schedule. And so I hope it puts out a good product this weekend. So looking forward to Texas. They've changed that track. It's unique with the turn 1, and you don't want to be loose going into that corner, and then it's just balls to the wall through 3 and 4 as fast as you can scoot through there. I hear some drivers saying that might be some couple bumps that's might have to maneuver through. new stuff like that. So we'll pay attention to that. So, but hoping Texas puts out a good show, man.
Yeah, me too. That's for sure. 1 and 2 is always the iffy part. You get just barely outside of that groove, and you are heading towards the turn 2 wall in a quick hurry, which is something I haven't really enjoyed seeing, but it has potential to put on a good show. So I am definitely hoping for a good show out of Texas this weekend. I'm always going to be positive that way. So hoping for a good couple of shows, 3 shows down there. We got all 3 series, so that'll be awesome. Well, man, it's a 2-hour show. Did not mean for that to happen. So thankful that Jason was able to join us, Jason Shultz. So that was a really good interview. It was so good that we went a little longer with him and all that. And I'll do that every time because it was just awesome talking to him. So thankful. Thank you, Jason, for coming on again. Mark, thanks to you as well. Next week, we will have Ty Majeski on. And once again, that'll be a Thursday show. So look for that Thursday night. Once again, Ty Majeski will be our guest next Thursday. So looking forward to talking to him after he races down at Texas, picking up that big win at Slinger last week, too. And he'll be at Madison for the Joe Shear Classic as well coming up here. Yeah, looking forward to another great week. Enjoy your weekend. Go see some racing. Hope to see you down at Madison International Speedway for the Joe Shear Classic in the Midwest Truck Series. And hey, man, we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, man, we'll see you in Madison.
See ya.
This has been a production of Lore Sports. Hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.